What is authentic self-realization? What is authentic enlightenment? What would it mean to live an authentic, a real life? When we speak about spiritual topics, enlightenment, are we referring to words that we've read and have become familiar with, sentences that we've read and become familiar with, quotes from various gurus that we are so used to now that they've become a part of us, and we recite them, we merely parrot them? And it's so easy to do that, particularly if you're well read in any subject. One can simply parrot, as if those words were one's own words, as if that was one's own realization, one's own, just to use that word realization. This is something that I've learned, this word. And it points to something beyond the word. So it would be interesting exercise to perhaps inspect one's language, to inspect the words that one uses to communicate, to see if those words are truly tried and tested in one's experience, or are they merely borrowed from another. And what would happen if we would remove those second-hand words from our vocabulary? Now, all language is second-hand. And if we get too hung up on the words, then we're going to miss the music. We're going to miss what's really being said or attempted to be shared. Well, that is wanting to be heard, what is truly wanting to be heard, what is truly wanting to be said. We are very good at misleading ourselves and each other as human beings. We are masters of deception. We deceive ourselves and others routinely in one way or another. And in the world of business, whether that is the world of spiritual business or ordinary, commonplace, everyday business, there is a lot of deceiving going on, a lot of manipulation going on, so that you will buy the product. And this is simply business. This is how business is. And if it is a good product, then you will benefit by it, and the one who sells you the product will benefit, and the one who receives the product will also benefit. So what is the product? So what am I selling or sharing? And this is a good question one can ask when one is with a spiritual teacher, because we're focusing on the spiritual aspect, to use that term. And what does that mean, anyway? What does spiritual mean? Do I have to refer back to something I've read? Or do I know in my own experience what spiritual means? We don't have to supply an instant answer to this question. The question, who am I, that I first started asking myself, probably when I was about 23, 22, 23. The path of self-enquiry, made famous by Ramana Maharshi. I still ask myself that question, who am I? The first time I saw with clarity that I didn't know who I was or who I am, I was in a pub with a friend, and we were looking at inquiry, and I asked, who are you? And he said, who are you? And there was a moment when I just lost all sense of self-reference, and a part of my being was struggling to find some kind of identity. And there was a moment of panic. This is going back when I was about, I don't know, 26 or something, 27. And now when I ask the question, which is occasionally, who am I? There is just a watching of what is happening, and there is just a there's not an answer to that question. And I know people who have read the traditions of Advaita, of non-duality, might in some way answer, I am the self. I am the self with a capital S, which denotes the true self, or God. And will somehow, when they ask the question, they'll be looking for that answer, for some experience that shows them that they're not the body, or not the mind. The point is, with that question, is just to ask, who am I? Who is the one who is asking this question? Who is hearing this now? And you can see the program that is being run, the habitual way of relating, the habitual. And when the question is truly asked, it staggers the mind. The mind cannot fathom it. But initially, probably, most people I see have a conviction of who they are, and they know who they are to whatever degree, and this is what they want. I know who I am. No, I'm not interested in asking who am I. I'm asking, this is what I want. I want this, I want that. Who wants this? Who wants that? In the tradition of self-enquiry, you hear terms like fixing attention on the self, or cutting off thought, or who fixes attention on the self? Who is the one who is fixing attention? Who is cutting off? Who is trying? Who is seeking? For most people, or for probably for many people, this question is, they have no interest in it. But for those who have gone deeply into it, it's a very extraordinary thing. Who am I? Who is asking this question? So we're looking at a direct experience rather than some second-hand answer that comes through memory. And you may just find that you're just resting in the questionless state. Or you may, the mind will always be popping up with some answer. I am so-and-so and this is my experience. And you may feel that you already know who you are. Who is the one who is feeling this? As I say, in traditional inquiry, you get the idea of cutting off. And is there something cutting off? Is the self cutting off? Does the self need to cut things off? Does the self need to fix? This is another term I heard recently from a teacher. I'm not saying he's wrong. These are just words. Does the self need to fix attention? Does anything need to be fixed? Who is doing the fixing? And for me, this mechanical language is certainly a pointer, but one can become very trapped in that kind of description. As if you need to fix your attention. Who is the one who needs fixing? Who is suffering? Who am I? Now, sometimes I've used who am I really, because I know that, and I use the really bit because we like to go back to what the tradition says who I am, and there we go back to the second-hand knowledge. But who am I really? Who is bored? Who is impatient? Very often if I teach meditation, if we're looking at stillness, you can see with some people very quickly they start moving, or they'll have to take their top off because they're hot, or they will look around the room or look down at them. And for me it's just something they're doing, something that's happening through them. But it signifies a domination of that part of themselves that doesn't want to see what's happening. That part of themselves that cannot be still, that doesn't want to be still. Who doesn't want to be still? Who is frustrated? Who is angry? I am angry, you say. I am angry. Who is that I that is angry? Who is experiencing this anger? I am experiencing, I so-and-so, so you put your name on it, I, my partner say, I am angry because I see that. Who is that I? Look. From where are these questions arising?